Have you ever been watching a volleyball match and it just feels like a blur of action? You see the serves, the spikes, the incredible dives, but you're not quite sure how it all fits together? Well, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to break it all down, real simple. This is your quick start guide to finally decoding the game of volleyball.
So here's our game plan. We're going to hit 5 key areas. First, what's the actual goal? Then we'll look at the court itself, the battlefield. After that, we'll get into who the players are and what they do. Then we'll talk about how you actually score points. And finally, we'll break down the one core play that makes the whole game tick. All right, let's start at the very beginning. You know, every sport, no matter how complex it looks, has a really simple idea at its core. And volleyball's is as straightforward as it gets. So, what is every single player trying to do out there? That's it. That's the name of the game right there. Everything you see, every single serve, set, and that huge, thunderous spike, it's all designed to do one thing: make that ball hit the floor on the other team's side. It's all about offense, all about making that happen. And of course, there's the flip side. While you're trying to score, the other team is doing everything they can, literally throwing their bodies on the floor, diving, blocking, to make sure that ball never touches their ground. This constant battle between offense and defense is what makes every single point so intense. So, where does all this action happen? Well, the court isn't just some random rectangle. It's a strategic grid, and those lines on the floor, they define everything. They're the rules of engagement. The layout is pretty simple on the surface. You've got a big rectangle, 18 meters long by 9 meters wide, and it's sliced right down the middle by the net. So each team is defending their own perfect 9 by 9 meter square. But there's one little line inside that space that changes the entire game. And this is it. This is the one you gotta watch, the attack line. You'll also hear it called the 10-foot line or the 3-meter line. It runs across the court on both sides, and honestly, it might be the most important strategic line in volleyball. It creates 2 completely different zones on the court. So why is this line such a big deal? Well, here's the rule. If you're a player in the back row, you cannot jump and attack the ball from in front of this line. You have to take off from behind it. If your foot crosses that line when you jump to spike, boom, that's an illegal attack. The whistle blows and the other team gets a point just like that. This rule is what keeps the game structured and really defines the roles of the players. Okay, so we've got our objective and we've got our battlefield, but who are the people actually playing the game? Let's talk about the players and what they do. 6. That's the magic number. Each team has 6 players on the court at any given time, all trying to work together like a well-oiled machine. But here's the cool part. They're not just standing still. They're in constant motion. Every time their team wins a point off the other team's serve, all 6 players rotate one spot clockwise. It's like a built-in dance that makes sure everyone plays in different spots on the court, from the back line all the way up to the net. Now, even though they all rotate, players have specialized jobs. First, you've got the setter. Think of them as the quarterback. They run the offense. Their job is to take the second touch and put the ball in the absolute perfect spot for a hitter to smash it. Then you have the outside hitter, who is usually your go-to scorer, flying in from the left side for those big spikes. And hey, if you ever spot a player wearing a different colored jersey from everyone else, that's your libero. They're a defensive wizard, a specialist in passing and digging who isn't allowed to attack the ball at the net. Okay, court, players, check. But how do they actually put points on the board? Well, the way scoring works today is actually pretty new, and it completely revolutionized the sport. Today's game uses what's called rally scoring. It's super simple. Every single time the ball is served, a point is going to be awarded to somebody at the end of that rally. This system came in around 1998, and it made every single play matter so much more. So that kind of makes you wonder, right? If this new system started in 1998, what on earth were they doing before that? How did you score a point in the old days of volleyball? Before rally scoring, the game used something called side-out scoring. Get this. Back then, you could only score a point if your team was the one serving. If the other team served and you won the rally, you didn't get a point. Nope. All you won was the right to serve next. It was called a side-out. You can just imagine how long those games could go on. So yeah, switching to rally scoring was a total game changer. It made the matches faster, way more intense, and honestly, a lot easier for new fans to follow. You always know that every single play could be a point. And that brings us to the final piece of our puzzle. Let's talk about the fundamental rhythm of the game. Once that ball crosses the net, there's a core sequence, a little 3-step dance that happens over and over again. The basic rule is simple. Your team gets 3 touches, max, to get that ball back over the net. But this isn't a limitation. It's actually the blueprint for all of their offensive strategy. Everything is built around those 3 touches. And those 3 touches almost always follow this exact sequence. It's beautiful to watch. First comes the pass, also called a bump or a dig, where a player controls the ball coming from the other team. That pass goes to the setter, who takes the second touch, the set, and lofts the ball perfectly into the air. And that leads to the big finale, the attack, where a hitter leaps and smashes that ball over the net trying to end the point. Pass, set, attack. That's it. Once you start seeing that 3-part rhythm, you've cracked the code. You can follow the flow of any game. It's the building block for almost everything you'll see on the court, and it happens in the blink of an eye. And that sequence is impossible without incredible teamwork. It's more than just a skill, it's about trust. The passer has to trust the setter has to trust the hitter. That's why communication and respect are everything. It's what turns 6 great athletes into 1 great team. So there you go. The goal, the court, the players, the scoring, and that core rhythm. You now have all the keys you need. You can go from just watching the action to actually understanding the deep strategy and skill that goes into every single point. But knowing the rules is really just the start, because now you can ask the bigger questions. Which leads to one final thought, the great debate in volleyball. What's more critical to winning a championship? Is it an absolutely unstoppable offense with thunderous spikes? Or is it a gritty, resilient defense that simply refuses to let the ball drop? That's something to chew on the next time you watch a match. Thanks for joining me.